the Rangers Journal now.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Rangers Journal channel. My name is Scott Mackay and I am your host for this episode of the Rangers Manager series that we are covering here. I'm delighted to be joined by Ryan Hurst. Ryan, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Aye, not bad at all, mate, not bad at all. So, we're here to talk about Liam Rosenior. First, tell me a bit about yourself. What do you know about him?
Well, I watched a lot of him at Hull City. I watched a lot of him at Strasbourg. He took the move from Hull to Strasbourg and he's doing very well there. I did a big video on him, did a lot of research. So, yeah, I'd say I've watched a fair bit of him, to say the least.
Yeah. What kind of job did he do at Hull? Obviously, Leeds United are my English team, so I've kind of kept an eye on Hull this season post Rosenior. He was sacked very, very harshly, in my opinion. They went for kind of competing in the playoffs to fighting relegation. What kind of job did he do for Hull City?
Yeah, well, he came in, I think, a few months into the start of the 22-23 season after they sacked their manager. They were a little bit low down the table, so he came in, first proper job in football as a manager, solidified them a mid-table finish, and then the following season they finished 7th place, so he did a pretty good job there. But I think at the end of his tenure, it was believed that he probably should have got playoffs. I mean, he did have a lot of good players in Fabio Carvalho, Jacob Greaves, a lot of loan signings, so it was believed that he should have done better with the team he had, but it was only 2 seasons. It was a very competitive championship season, obviously with Leicester, Leeds, so many good teams and good players. So it was quite harsh, and I think you've seen that decision hasn't quite paid off. I think they tried to write it off as a bit of an ambitious move to say that, you know, this wasn't good enough, we want to go higher, we want to go here, but it's not quite paid off.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think he's shown growth across his roles so far in terms of obviously I think he did an interim spell at Derby County to Hull to now Strasbourg. Do you think he's grown in every job he's went to?
Yeah, I think he is, and I think he's still very young. I think he did his badges with Northern Ireland, and then had the process with Brighton to Derby, and obviously Hull to Strasbourg. He's had quite a fast managerial development, and I think he's clearly getting better, learning, and who knows, he might have got promoted with Hull City this season. Who would have known, because he got sacked. But I'd say he's been very clear development. I think for the young manager that he is, he's very ambitious. So I'd say, yeah, definitely. I definitely call him good, solid, decent manager. Maybe not ready for the top levels of yet, but he's still very young.
Yeah. What kind of football does he play? What's his style of
I think
play?
he plays. I think he looks possession. It's a very possession-based game, but I wouldn't say it's stubborn like a lot of managers. A lot of people like to call out the possession-based managers like the Russell Martins, the Enzo Marascas, because very stubborn, maybe not quite tactically flexible. But I'd say Liam Rosenior is the opposite of that. I think his teams will play long if they need to. They're not just going to keep playing short passes and make mistakes, a bit like Russell Martin Southampton did. So I think he maximises the use of his players. You know, he's got a tall number 9 that's strong, so he's going to go long, but he also has the technical ability within his core to play out and beat teams and beat the press and play a really attractive style of football that's very fun to watch.
Would you say he's got a clear philosophy, or is he more of a pragmatist then?
I'd say it's pretty clear. I mean, he values possession. I think he, in one of his quotes for a video of RTV Sport for an interview, he says, you know, people playing football, you ask any young person, they enjoy football when they've got the football. So he really prioritises that as part of his philosophy. I mean, Hull City were a possession dominant side. Strasbourg, I wouldn't say they're massively possession dominant. They do have a sense of directness about it, but they knock the ball around really well. And I think he's very adaptable to the team he plays. So it's adaptable in shape, you know, in formation. He makes little tweaks in games. So, no, he's very good in terms of that. And I'd say his philosophy when watching his team continuously, I'd say it's pretty clear. And I think it doesn't matter what team he's playing against, he'll give it a good go. Whether it's PSG or whether it's Reims or Lyon, it's quite clear, I'd say.
He's definitely making some strides with Strasbourg since he took a job, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, they're 4 points off second place. I think they dropped down to 7th, but there's about 5 or 6, 7 teams competing for those Champions League spots. So it's quite competitive.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Does he like to stick to the one formation, or does he change it based on his opponent?
I'd say he changes it. I think quite a lot he uses a 4-2-3-1, but for some games he'll use a 3-4-3.
Okay.
And just because he's playing a 4-2-3-1, it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily look like that on the pitch. It might be a different shape. He likes that 3-2-5 so many teams use, but off the ball he can adapt. Sometimes you see him pressing a 5-4-1 with a back five, or sometimes you'll see him pressing a 4-4-2. I think he recognises the opponent he's playing against. He recognises their threats, and I think he makes adaptations to the team he's playing against. So this could be a midfielder making. So Andre Santos, their defensive midfielder, will join the back line sometimes to make that five to really remove their threat and be a little bit more defensively solid, which they have been this season. And I think sometimes in 4-4-2, which is basic, but yeah, no, I think he's quite adaptable as well.
How do you think how does he come across to you with the players? Does he come a motivator, disciplinarian, but both? Is he passionate? What's he like?
I'd say I'd say he's all three of them. To be quite honest
Okay.
with you, I think it always goes viral his videos because
Aye.
he's speaking in English to these group of players, but he's got a translator with them as well. But I think to go to a foreign country where you don't know the language is a little bit unfamiliar in territory. It's always very difficult. I mean, Scott Parker went to Belgium, didn't quite work. Sometimes these managers go to these foreign countries, never quite works, and sometimes with players as well. But when you watch Strasbourg, they are so well coached. They understand what they've got to do. The passing is very fluid. Everything is brilliant. The players know where they need to be. And the video with ITV Sport, it's on Liga channel as well.
Hmm.
It's footage from him, the touchline, calling and players across. He's a very clear communicator, so he's very proactive, and I think to me he looks like a very good coach, which is important. But yeah, it looks like he communicates to his players really well, gets along with them, and yeah, no, I'd say he's pretty good.
See, in terms of player development, would you say he improves players? Like Rangers are trying to adopt a transfer model where we sign players for low fees, sell them on
Hmm.
for. It's the only way
Yeah,
anybody in Scotland's going to make money. Let's be honest. So,
yeah.
do you think he could fit that model?
I'd say so because you look at Strasbourg's squad, the average age is 22.7. It's a team
Right. Okay.
full of wonder kids, and I think you'd pick out a large selection of those players that he has improved. If you look at them statistically from last season to this season, a lot of those players have improved. I mean, Andre Santos, on loan from Chelsea, he was there last season. He did all right. This season, he's one of the leading players in the division. So I think he improves players massively, and he loves working with those younger players as well.
So, would you say he's good at giving youth a chance? Then, is there anybody in Strasbourg or Hull's academy that he brought through and gave a debut or some appearances to?
Yeah, I think with Strasbourg's model, obviously they're a sister club to Chelsea, so of
Yeah.
course they love buying young players, developing them. So when you look across their team, most of the team is 21 years old, 18, 19, 20. There's so many young players. I mean, the oldest player on the pitch is probably the goalkeeper, like
Yeah.
Petrovic. He's like 23, 24, something like that. I don't quite know. But yeah, no, he definitely prioritises youth development. I think as a coach as well, he's probably worked with a lot of youngsters, as he did with Home City as well. So I think, yeah, no, there's clear youth development there. And I think that's something that a lot of clubs take pride. So if Liam Rosenior was your manager, you'd feel very confident and optimistic of that aspect of some of your own coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, what was his circumstances like at Hull City? Was it limited resources? Can he work with unlimited resources and get
I'd say
results?
so. In his
Uh,
first season, because he was in a tough situation where he came into his first managerial job in a little bit of a bad environment, negative place, turned it round, solidified it, and
yeah.
then in his second season is where he got much more materials, where they pushed for more players and were a little bit more ambitious. So I'd say it's tough to say because he's only had very limited experience in the managerial world, but I'd like to think so, because in his short stint at Derby County, again, a very quick and negative situation,
Mm.
he did the best he could. He had a very good record, he got plenty of wins, and obviously they went to go and get a different manager. But yeah, no, I'd say get the best out of what he's got, definitely.
Has he worked under a director of football before? Or a
I
sporting
believe so.
director as such?
I believe so, because obviously Strasbourg are very driven in terms of the market, very
Yeah.
ambitious in terms of getting those younger players in, and obviously working with Chelsea to get those younger players. Chelsea sign someone, loan them out to Strasbourg. Liam Rosenior does a great job with them. It's sort of simple as that as the model. But I believe so as well, kind of Hull City. So, in his limited experience, I believe he has.
What would you say he's like on the touchline? Is he calm? Is he animated? Is he reactive? Is he good with the
I'd
press?
say, yeah, I'd say he's proactive. Definitely, he makes changes in the game. He'll call his players across and say, "Right, you need to go here to change this and try and help us play through." He's very clear as well, very animated. I wouldn't say massively animated because you see so many managers going ballistic on the sideline. It's
Yeah.
sometimes maybe hard as a player to sort of look at that and think, right, well, what does he want me to do? But he's clear, he's calm, up and down the touchline, and yeah, no, he's a clear figure amongst the side of the pitch. Let's just say that.
How does he respond to dips in form or sticky runs? Does he lead well in tough moments? Like, is he capable of changing something if it needs changed to get the team out of, like,
Hmm.
to give an example, like if in Rangers a draw is a disaster and a defeat's
Yeah.
life ending. It's
Hmm.
just the world we live in here up in Glasgow. Would you say he would know what to do in that situation if he is on a run of bad form?
Yeah, I'd say so because I think when you look at how young he is, he's very recently a player. So he's
Yeah.
got quite the relationship with the group of players that they'd be able to trust him and he'd find solutions. But you look at Strasbourg, they've gradually grown into the season. They were fairly mid table for the first few months. I think he was probably finding his way with the group, understanding his group, and obviously in a foreign country, foreign league, he's still getting used to it.
Mhm.
But I'd say so. I think with Hull City, they were doing so well in that championship season in his second year. They went through a little bit of a patch towards the end of the season and obviously didn't quite get over the line in terms of the playoffs. But he still pulled out some big wins in sort of games where they needed to win. They went away to Coventry, of course, who went to the FA Cup semi final,
Yeah.
went head to head with Man United. So he can still pull out a win and turn it round. So I'd definitely say so because we look at Strasbourg's form right now. It's probably started from December. It's been very good, and they've had I think 2 defeats in that time, and they've bounced back and they've continued going on that run. So I'd say as a manager and as a sort of person as well, he can turn it round. He can find solutions. He can, yeah, I think he's got the answers.
Let's be honest, managing Rangers is a wee bit different in terms of the
Mm,
pressure cooker, the goldfish bowl. First is everything, second is nothing kind of hang up here.
yeah.
How do you think he could handle that pressure? Do you think it would be a good move for him at this stage of his career? Do you think he would be ready for it?
I think he'd be ready for it. I think the pressure that comes outside of it would be something that he needs to adapt to. It's a little different from Hull City, a little bit different from Strasbourg, where they're just, Hull were ambitious, maybe looking to get playoffs. Strasbourg is just looking for a good season where they can, see clear development. Of course, there's much bigger standards at Rangers, but I think it would be something he'd adapt to. Maybe it would be something that he'd need time at, but it's the sort of thing that you look at someone like Liam Rosenior on the touchline, his ambition, how young he is as a person, the way he speaks in the media. I think you'd feel very confident that you can really go head to head and get the better of Celtic and every team in the division, you'd say.
Yeah, yeah. What would your biggest concern be if he did get the job? Would it be him adapting to the pressure, or
I'd say the pressure, probably. I think 'cause obviously losing against Celtic would be
yeah,
just quite the thing. It's, as you say, a bit of a meltdown between the fan base. So I'd say it would be that pressure. But I think when you look at it from a different basis, there would be clear development in terms of pushing on beyond that. Not just winning a league, but European football wise, making a name for yourself there, which he's doing at Strasbourg. So I think pressure would be my instant concern. The football on the pitch, not really my concern because I think he's very fun, he's fluid, he's got a good style of play that the fans would buy under. Because as I say, it's possession dominant, but it's not so possession oriented.
rigid,
It's not
like.
constant short passes. It's not a style of play that the fans will be building like Chelsea have a little bit. So, yeah, no, it's fun. It's exciting, and I think probably the pressure would be the biggest thing.
Aye, aye. Do you think he'd be a good fit at Ibrox if he got a job?
Yeah, I think it would be a fantastic coup. I know he's been linked to Southampton. I know he's been to Leicester and Spurs. I don't think he's ready for that top job as of yet for a top Premier League club or top European club. So that kind of step would be good, whether that's to Rangers, whether that's to a bigger team in a different division or a mid-table Premier League team that's ambitious. So I'd say that kind of step would be appropriate for him in his development in his career because you don't want to go too big too young.
Do you think he's kind of getting warmed up for the Chelsea job eventually? The way he's at Strasbourg.
Probably. I think that probably looks how it's to be. I think if they force Enzo Maresca out, I think it would probably be a case of Chelsea just looking, well, we've got somebody right here who can do the job without looking too far. But at the same time, I don't think he'd be ready for that sort of pressure. So I think it's the pressure they'll be worried about. But I think with Chelsea, that comes with probably so much more with their standards of European football, with the standards of the fan base and how used to they are just sacking managers if they have, a few bad games with Abramovich and stuff, and obviously with social media. So that's very highly demanding, but the sort of pressure that he'd get at Rangers, I think he can thrive under.
Oh, fair enough. Well, thank you for coming on, Ryan. Do you want to tell folk where they can find you?
YouTube, so Ryan Hurst. If you can't find Ryan Hurst, you might have to put Ryan Hurst football because there's an actor of The Walking Dead that might come off Hurst, so that's always a bit annoying. But Ryan Hurst, and then if you look at my description, you'll find like a link tree of all my different social medias. Thank you very much.
That's brilliant. Thanks for coming on, mate. Right, cheers, guys.